Home sweet home.
Yeah.
Kind of weird being back after all this time. Still smells the same though. Oh, it's nice and warm.
Very hot, yeah.
Back in the yard.
Sunday, and I've decided I am going to get in the engine room and pull apart the transmission from the engine. I think there may be something wrong with the damper plate. After we hit whatever we hit with the propeller, I think it's sent a shock load up through the transmission, and even if it hasn't fully broken the damper plate is a device that transmits the torque between the back of the engine and the gearbox, apparently, like a bit like a clutch plate, but it's permanently fixed. It has springs in it, and it's supposed to knock out the vibration of the pistons firing at low revs, and you engage in gear. It just softens the load between the engine and the gearbox. I've got that to look at because I think there's something wrong with it, and I've also got it's a Perkins, so it's leaking oil, and I think it's coming out of the, as far as I can see, it's coming out of the rear crankshaft seal, which is in the same place. You've still got to separate the engine and the gearbox to do that. So that's the two birds with one stone thing, and I think I better get in there now whilst we're here in the yard in Faro, and I've got access to shipping stuff, you know, economically from the UK. I don't really want to have to do the job halfway across the Atlantic or the other side of the Atlantic. It might be more expensive and more difficult. So it's hot today, it's like nearly 30 degrees, and I've got to spend the entire day in the engine room getting very cross probably, and cursing a lot. Right, yep, stop there a second. Stop.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, okay. And then down gradually. Yay, well done. I've got new universal joints, so I didn't do it last time because they didn't arrive in time, so I'll change that before I put that back in. But it's hot down there.
This is the prop shaft.
That's what you call the intermediate shaft.
Oh.
It allows for, it's good because it allows for a little bit of misalignment between the engine and the prop shaft, which I think is quite often the demise of many people's transmissions, is that it's, if you have a solid prop shaft all the way up and it's not aligned properly with the engine crankshaft, that's,
Alright.
it damages it. But this, because it's got these universal joints, it'll take out a bit of alignment issues. But it's massive for extra weight. I mean, that's the same as you get in a car,
Yeah.
a Land Rover or something. Nice Tuesday morning job.
So disgusting. Well, it needs doing, doesn't it? But
I'm having to reposition the everything in our port locker, and it means moving the holding tank. That's our little holding tank.
is it wrong that I kind of found that slightly satisfying?
Yeah, definitely. I'm putting the engine back together because I got my parts yesterday, so I've got the rear crank seal in, and I'm just waiting for the sealant to go off a little bit before I pinch it up the last bit, so in a minute I'll do that. And then I've got to put the bow housing back plate needs to go on, then the flywheel, which weighs a ton, and then I've got a replacement. That's the old damper plate there. New style one down here, slightly different design. This one's got a rubber, it's basically a rubber cushion between the driven plate and the drive plate, instead of springs, because all those springs in there now, although they're not cracked, they're all quite loose. They all rattle around all over the place.
Just admiring how clean the holding tank is now I've scrubbed it.
Just you wait.
Could eat your dinner out of that.
Yeah.
Not sure you'd want to, but...
It ain't going to stay like that for very long, is it?
It's not.
Am I banned from using it?
Yep, it's mine now.
Morning in Faro.
What I'm doing today is repairing this sail. This is our Genoa, and basically it's wearing through. It's only 2 years old. It's wearing through because every time we tack, the edge of the sail rubs across the spreaders. So I'm going to put some sail tape down this side and on that side, and probably a bit over the seam as well, and then sew it on. But I'm going to have to sew it by hand because my little sewing machine, well, it's not a sail machine, it won't go through this at all, so probably take me all day doing it by hand, but hopefully it'll be strong enough.
So why are we polishing the boat?
So it looks better.
Yeah.
I'm really tired.
So we've got a big day tomorrow. We're going back in the water, hoping all the things we've done and fiddled with don't go wrong. Yeah, we're going to get our heads down and have an early start tomorrow.
So what happened this morning?
Well, we got up really early and it's forecast to be really windy today, so it was nice and calm this morning. So we decided to put the Genoa up, thinking that's fine. Nikki prepared the sail, it's all been sat there. I greased everything before we left last time. Should just go straight up. Get it halfway up, and then the furling channels, which is in like 3 sections on this boat, the spring clips that join the connections have fractured. The spring metal's broken, and it means that as the friction builds up further up, it lifted the top 2 sections and pulled the bottom joint apart. It's happened before, and it happened before because the sail makers cut our sail too long. As it stretched, it meant that the halyard was reaching the very top of the travel on the channel, and then as we trying to get the creases out of the sail, we actually just ripped the whole section of the foil apart. So anyway, now it's another repair, so it's going to be another 2 screws to try and hold it together.
Not the best timing, is it?
No.
Coming to get us.
What do you reckon? Nervous?
Always. So we've just got put back in the water and just found that 3 of our seacocks are leaking. So now we've got to come out again and spend another week in the yard, which is shit, basically. So those 2 in there are both leaking, and the worst one, that's the forward heads. The worst one is under the sink, and it's, yeah, pissing out basically. So not a good thing at all. The worst thing is we've got crew coming today, and now we're going to have to spend, how long do you think, a week?
At least a week.
Another week in the yard sorting it out.
I mean, it's potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 2, it's like 6 seacocks need changing. I think what's happened is, I noticed where the boat's been sat in the pads, And I painted this morning when they took them away. The whole gel coat on the whole hull has deformed because it's been so hot that it's made the whole hull relax and left a square indent in the hull.
So we're going to have to change the whole Seacocks for new ones?
Yeah.
Or?
It's going to cost a fortune. I don't know what else to do. We can't go in. You can't sail to America.
No.
With water pouring
Shit. So they lifted us back out the water, and now we're in the yard for another week.
I'm glad you're smiling now.
I was a bit tearful a minute ago. It's just one of those things, but it's just having to change all of your expectations again. And, I don't know.
No one ever said it was going to be easy.
I was totally ready to get back sailing and move on now, but there you go. Hey ho.
Leaking between the washer and the first nut, it was just weeping.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say dribbling, I'd say weeping. But it's just time. I'm going to do the whole lot.
Yeah.
And then I won't have to do it again.
And then at least our minds will be at rest for, crossing the Atlantic. It's better that it happened now than then, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. This is quite a lot of work. With 3 to do in there, 1 to do in here, 3 to do in the back, and then the 2. I also do the 2 big in the engine room, which I can hardly get to them. That's what I was saying about. I was hoping they would be all right until eventually the engine came out, but I don't know. So gone all gummy and brittle. It's not really stuck.
So the sealant's gone, not the actual Seacock.
Yeah, it wasn't the metal. The metal. It's good.
I mean, cut that one off, but
as Bruce just said, if it was red, when you cut it, it's the corrosion. The zinc has gone out of it, and it becomes much more brittle and weak. So that was a good quality bronze fitting, but I've had to cut it to get it out. That one was actually quite well stuck, but I mean they need cleaning, and I really just need to have a very good look. I think they're probably all fine. They look rubbish, but the bronze is still really solid, so I'm probably just going to clean them and reseal them with proper sealant.
Yeah. Oh, what a job!
Yeah, it's a lot of work for. And as Will says, oh, you could have just tightened the bolt. Yeah, you could have just tightened the bolt on these ones. The other ones, there's no way I could have done because it was all seized up. This hole is for a bigger fitting than was in it. I mean, it's so much too big that the sealant groove on the flange is actually within the hole. So there's no way the bead of silicone or bead of marine sealant is going to make any kind of seal at all. So I'm absolutely amazed that this ever held water out at all. So now I've got to try and use this old fitting as a plug, and then try and cast epoxy, like a thin bit of epoxy, into this thing to try and make the hole smaller. It's either that or go and upsize this fitting to one that will fit this hole. But we're running out of time. I've got the crew. The chap is here waiting for us to get this finished so we can go back in the water. Well, I think once that's sanded back and a bit recessed there, but it's definitely made a ring, a filler. It's just how strong it is. I need to get that totally flat because that's what the bead sits against. It's a bloody mess this is, but it's just soft and rotten. So that was the backing plate, it was glassed in. And this here is like supposedly some sort of sealant, but it's just like powdery chalk. And obviously the wood has just collapsed because I guess water's been seeping through the joint. It doesn't look like that was ever coated in epoxy. You're supposed to give it like 6 coats of epoxy, so it's completely waterproof before you fix it to the hull. So obviously that meant that the nut, as the wood's got soft, the nut then loses its tension against the seal at the other side. So that's how the water's been coming in. So now I've just got to try and clean
clean this all up.
What a mess.
Yeah, to get all the old sealant off, but I mean, there's no way we could have crossed the Atlantic with, you know, the seacocks. I didn't realise how bad they were, to be honest.
No.
So this is actually a good thing.
Yeah. Everything happened for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason.
And they all happened at once.
Yeah. I have spent like ages and ages and ages cleaning that with. It's actually taken me the best part of, well, a day and a half to clean the four seacocks. The reason is just so I could check that there was no, you know, patches of corrosion or pinkness in it anywhere, because it's the pinkness that's you need to worry about, apparently. I've reground them, I've cleaned them out as best as possible, and now I'm about to refit them. There we go.
Yeah, it's going through.
So
yeah.
These have these grooves inside which are connected to the grease nipple, and you've got to try and fill them till they're totally full of grease. I'm only putting this in place now to try and hold the blocks in place.
Just been washing up on deck like you do, because we can't use any of the sinks because we've got no seacocks in. Life is getting a little tedious, isn't it, at the moment?
Just about had it after I left.
Yeah. No toilets, no sinks, no space on the boat, no sunshine.
No.
Basically feeling a bit down the dumps.
We are. I've just about had enough now. This is probably one of the hardest tests I've ever had.
Not long. I hope when we get back in it's all okay. So we are going to meet our crew member at the bus station.
Hey, I'm Jai. Do you remember Bora?
Yeah, he's new crew.
Yeah,
So we're going to go buy some beers.
Yeah, on us.
So it's the Monday, which is the Monday before the Tuesday we go back in the water for the second time after our leaking seacocks. I've got to go down and screw the valves on now. We've got Jai and Nikki doing useful things at the front, and Jai's getting his hands dirty, which is great. So hopefully we'll have a watertight hull by the end of the day, and fingers crossed we have just a smooth relaunch tomorrow, because we haven't got any more time to waste.
We're in the cradle, been lifted, and we're just waiting for them to come back and lift us in for the second time. So we're all feeling pretty nervous, and yeah, we're just really hoping that all goes well. How are you feeling, Captain?
Yeah, still, my heart rate's definitely up still. Everything we've done has worked.
Oh, so it's just so nice to be back out again. Yay! Cheers!
Cheers! Hey!
Well done, team!
Good adventure.
Canaries!
It looks like it, yeah.
About 40 now, 35, 40. So, feeling a little bit nervous.
Ah, crikey. It's been a crazy night.